going to start next chapter, crystal diode rectifiers and filters. So this is basically the syllabus of your unit 1 itself. So unit 1 we have already done, like 75% we have done, and the rest is the rectifiers and the filters are remaining. So electric power in the is generated, transmitted in only in the form of alternating current, as we all know. It is because the alternating voltage, this could be transmitted easily ups and down. Okay, so but there are some of the functions like electrolysis, battery charging, or whenever transistor based radio receivers, transmitters, etc., they are operated, we need direct current. Direct current is equally essential. So we need a device which would convert alternating current into a direct current. So this device is known as the rectifier. So AC to DC basically conversion should be accomplished. So any electrical devices which is offering low resistance to the current in one direction and high resistance to current in the opposite direction, this is known as the rectifier, because one part would be flown as it is, and the other part, or the negative end, it must restrict that. So as you all know that PN junction is a device, is such a device which offers very high resistance in case of the reverse biases and low resistance in case of the forward biases. So PN junction could be used as a rectifier. So rectifier basically, it is a PN junction diode which is specially designed to rectify alternative current. Okay, so it will give a very low resistance to the flow of current during forward biases and very high during the reverse biases. So we have this is the basic principle where the semiconductor diodes are using as a half wave rectifier. Okay, so suppose we here we have some of the things, like this is the basically step down transformer is there. As you can see that the primary turns are more than the secondary turns. So this is a step down transformer, and also we have here PN junction, and a load resistance is applied, because on the load resistance we would take the output would be taken from here. So as you know that, because AC basically it is alternating current, so it would increase in one direction, then it would decrease, and would increase in another direction, then it would go to complete its cycle, it would move to 0 point, like this equilibrium position we can say. So during this half, this part is positive and this part is negative, and during this half, this part is negative and this part is positive. When this part is positive, you can see that the positive would be connected to positive, so the PN junction would offer a low resistance and the current would be flown through the PN junction. So there would be some current at this end. This RL we would have some output voltage, and when there is a negative cycle of AC input, the P side, this side would be negative and this side would be positive. So if this side is negative, it means negative would be connected to P side and the positive would be connected to N side. So in that case, PN junction would be reverse bias. So as you know that in reverse biases, PN junction offers very high resistance. So the flow of current would be inhibited and the resistance would be more. So there would be no flow of current, or we can say due to high resistance, here RL would not drop any voltage. So V0 would be 0. So here we can see this graphically, that this is the AC input voltage which is given like this, and this is the respective output voltage which is DC output voltage. It is not entirely DC, as you can see some ripple parts over here, but this could be further given to a filter circuit to obtain a single straight line. So this is known as the half wave rectifier, because only half part of the wave is being rectified. So this part is rectified, and this part here we have zero signal here. So this you have done already in your experiments, but this is the basic theory of the half wave rectifier. Next we are moving towards the mathematical analysis of the half wave rectifier. Suppose we have alternating, because this is the alternating voltage, so it would be a function of sine, it would be a periodic function like sine function or cosine function we can take. So here we have taken Em sin omega t, like Em sin theta we have taken. So this is the maximum value, Em is the maximum value of the voltage, and suppose the forward resistance of the diode is Rf and the load resistance is RL. So this resistance is Rf and this resistance is RL, because they are connected in series. So the total resulting resistance would be Rf plus RL. Okay, so resulting resistance, suppose it is Rf plus RL. Okay, so as you know, current is equal to voltage upon resistance. Okay, so this is the total resistance. So I would be equal to voltage. Voltage here is E, because this is the voltage we have applied. So I would be equal to E upon Rf plus RL. So this is how this expression comes from. So E would change to Em sin theta. We would substitute the value from here, and this is what we have for from 0 to pi, and from pi to 2 pi the current would be equal to 0. You can see this. So maximum magnitude or the maximum current would be Em by Rf plus Rl. So this factor is maximum. And you have already done the wave analysis, and you see that this factor is basically the amplitude of the wave, and this is Em upon Rf plus Rl. Now we are calculating some of the factors. We are deriving relationships for that. The first factor is DC, or the average value of the output current. Average value of the output current is given as IDC is equal to 1 upon 2 pi 0 to 2 pi ID theta. Basically we are using this factor, like suppose we need to calculate the value of fx, average value of function within this interval from A to B. Okay, so what we would do, average value would be equal to integration of f of x from A to B dx. Suppose we are taking along this x factor, so this is b minus a. So this is the length of the interval, and this is being divided by this integral. So here also, because the total time period is 2 pi, like the cycle is from 0 to 2 pi, theta is varying from 0 to 2 pi, this theta. So 0 to 2 pi id theta would be the total value of current, and we will divide it by the interval, which is 1 upon 2 pi. So we have this. So 0 to 2 pi integration would be carried out in the two parts, like from 0 to pi and from pi to 2 pi, because we have these restrictions. This part, because it is 0, so this part would become 0, and this part from 0 to pi we will write I as Em upon Rf plus Rl sin theta. This is what we have written here. So you will simply integrate this to find the IDC. And here you can see that the constant terms are taken here, and only sin theta would be integrated, and this would result to minus of cos theta, and the minus sign I have written that this is written here, and then after the upper and lower limits are filled to give this value. So this is basically IDC is equal to Im upon pi. So this was the maximum value of current. So Im upon pi is the IDC value. So next is the root mean square, or the effective value of the output current. So this is the basic expression for calculating the RMS value. So the same procedure we need to apply, that we will just simply integrate with the two intervals from 0 to pi and pi to 2 pi. This part would be 0 and this part would be retained, but the only difference is here is I square. Okay, so I square would result into Em square sin square theta Rf by RL. So this is what we have. This is the only difference is here. So because also we have here 1/2 power. So here we have basically taken square on both sides. So this is RMS square. So this is what we have. We are calculating the square value. So this is we have here, and when we are finding the IRMS finally, so we will take the under root of this to have this value. This is Im/2. So because you know this, we have already done IDC is equal to Im upon pi. So pi is basically a number, so which is very close to 3.14. Here you have 2 value, here you have 3.14 value. So you can see that IRMS is greater than IDC. Okay, so this is what we have. Next is the factor to calculate the efficiency of half wave rectifier. Efficiency is basically defined as the ratio like output to input. The input you have given and the output you have obtained. So output is in the form of DC and input is in the form of AC. You know this because rectifier would convert AC to DC. So here it is written. So PDC is basically Im by, this is basically I can write here like IDC square RL. Okay, and this is basically IAC or AC square RL. Okay, so this is what we have here. So we will simply divide those PDC upon AC, PAC. We will divide these, and we would see that eta value for the half wave rectifier is near to 0.406. So this is efficiency, and when we are taking in the percentage, then we are saying that 40% of the power is efficient. This is efficient only up to 40%. So next factor is the ripple factor. A ripple factor is the factor like how much AC component is there in the output. So this is what it basically defines like. So it is defined like IAC upon IDC. That was PDC upon PAC. So this is IAC upon PDC. This you have to remember. And using the relationship between the IRMS, IDC and IAC, we will calculate the IAC factor basically, because you have already done calculated the expression for IDC but not IAC. So from this IAC is calculated like this, and these two terms need to be divided. So this term would divided by IDC. So this is what I have. So when I am taking the square root of this whole, I would write here square root and square, and here the square root 1/2 power. So this will give me these factors. IRMS I will fill like Im/2 and IDC like Im by pi. So this would result into pi by Im because this is in the denominator. So we will have this is ripple factor. Ripple factor would be equal to 1.21. This is for the half wave rectifier, and because the ripple factor is more than 1, because it is more than even the average value of the output current, so it means the half wave rectifier is a poor device. It is converting, but it is a poor device for converting AC into DC. So we need a device in which ripple factor is lower as compared to this half wave rectifier. So the next factor in characterizing the half wave rectifier is the peak inverse voltage. Peak inverse voltage is basically defined as the maximum voltage which is present across the diode when the diode is not conducting. Okay. So when diode is not conducting, it is not conducting in the negative half. Okay. So in the during negative half cycle, the diode is not conducting. So the voltage which is present across the diode which is that would be equal to the applied voltage. Okay, so peak inverse voltage, or we can say PIV value, it would be in case of half wave rectifier would be EM. So this is the maximum value of the applied voltage. So this is the value of PIV in the case of half wave rectifier. The next factor is the voltage regulation of the half wave rectifier. Here again this is defined like output at no load minus output at full load divided by output at full load. So here also the some calculations we have derived this voltage regulations, and we can see that again voltage regulation is very poor in case of half wave rectifier.